Hugo Kauder was not just a composer. He was a poet, he was a philosopher. Many of my sessions with Kauder had nothing to do with music, but explanations of the Greek text of the New Testament, or a explanation of the I Ching. There was nothing he didn't know. My relationship with Kauder was both as a student and an apprentice. It was the highlight of my life.
I'm used to a concert experience, so it was exciting but nerve-wracking. I saw the panel of judges looking at me, and each one had their name tag in front of them just to remind me that I was playing for Richard Stoltzman, Jeannie Baxdresser. It was really an honor to play for them.
One of the unique things about this competition is that Hugo Kauder is a little bit more unknown. So it wasn't like the Nielsen competition where every flute player is familiar with the Nielsen Flute Concerto and every clarinetist is familiar with the Nielsen Clarinet Concerto. It exposed us to two brand new pieces that we are not familiar with, but they are beautiful. And so it's a great way not only for us to compete, but for us also to be exposed to new repertoire that we can pass on to our students and to other flutists.
The Kauder is a clean slate. No one's ever told them how to play it. It's just directly their connection with the music, and different lights came out.
The solo suite is such a good competition piece because it's like a clean slate. You can do with it whatever you like, especially the first movement, which is titled Improvisation. And he mentions in the preface that every note should just be played as long as the emotional intent that you feel it should have. So it was very interesting playing around with it and seeing how it suits you as a player.
For me, when I had first heard about the competition, of course, I hadn't heard about Hugo Kauder before in my life, ever. So for me, I was expecting that when we had these pieces that were required to be learned, to be performed in the competition, I was assuming that I was going to be coming across something along the lines of the Second Viennese School, somewhere in the vicinity of, say, Schoenberg or Webern or Berg, and was pleasantly surprised in finding something that was more medieval. Because of the modal context that it's composed in, it's very different from any kind of music that pianists are usually familiar with,
There are a lot of repeated notes in Kauder's music. Bom, 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 bom. He's expecting changes of color as if you were saying words.
It's got a different kind of simplicity to it than Mozart does. Mozart has this sort of, I would say, classical era Europe in it, where there's more curls on the buildings and details to the arches of architecture and things like that. And then Hugo Kauder's music is, I think, slightly more minimal than that. I think it requires less texture to accomplish the same joyful kind of ideas that it brings across.
I think one of the most incredible facets of Kauder's compositions are that he does not incorporate bar lines in his work. So as a pedagogical tool, it's really incredible to sit there and have to actually expand your brain to think about what the measures are and what the music actually is doing.
Also, it's got these Asian kind of things in there with pentatonics, which pentatonics aren't necessarily Asian, but they're found probably one of the simplest, most commonly occurring scale in the world.
He incorporates pentatonic scales a lot, but it doesn't have a pentatonic feel. He, in one piece, will go from a medieval feel to a very pastoral feel to a countryside dance, and then all of a sudden it'll sound almost as though there are church bells happening in the accompaniment.
There's no other composer that these works remind me of, and especially if you want to program it, that's really nice, because it is something completely different in style and in character to the other works in your program.
He will be one of those people that people will look back on later and say he was probably one of those first few people, the pioneers, who brought back this sort of tonal, modal understanding of music again that makes people want to sit down and listen to music and enjoy it for what it is.
Everybody, my name is Norman D. I'm president of the Hugo Kauder Society, a role generously bestowed upon me by the Kauder sisters, to whom I'm eternally grateful. I was one of the last students of Hugo Kauder, and so these competitions mean an awful lot to me. I've known these works for years, and hearing them through your playing today was like a jewel, a multifaceted jewel, being twisted and refracting light in different ways, hearing things I've never heard before. It was very special to me, and if Hugo Kauder were here, he would just feel so fulfilled in hearing all of that. As I mentioned, this is our 5th annual competition, and this year's competition has been an enormous success. You are all winners, but in keeping with our commitment, we've chosen a first, we've chosen a second, and we split the 3rd prize. We've split the 3rd prize between Cobus Dutoit and Young Kim. Our second prize is going to Jiyun He. Our first prize is going to Ivan Danko. Ivan played one note and all our hearts broke. I mean, that just in one note, he has his heart just coming right through. It was extraordinary. And his love of, you could just hear he loves Kauder.
I try to make concerts and play music with my friends. We tried to find some pieces for this special combination trio, oboe, viola and piano. We find this piece, this trio from Hugo Kauder, and we ordered this scores from USA, and it was so wonderful for us. Then I heard about the competition here in New Haven, and then I said to me, I have to do it, this competition. I'm so happy that I see tomorrow the archive and find some pieces what I could play with my friends in Germany, in Slovakia, in Europe, and maybe soon also in USA.
You know, I felt very connected to those pieces and the colors and the lines in them, and to hear someone else playing them, it was almost a fulfillment of what Hugo Kauder used to say, that he was composing for the future, not for now. You know, finally, you know, the music is being played outside of the Kauder circle. The music is being spread.